NBA tanking. That's our big story on this Wednesday in Studio Z. If you'd bought a ticket to the final regular season game between the Suns and the Mavericks, you were treated to a Where's Waldo edition of an NBA game. Here's the starting 10. Each team's first 5 averaging 27 career starts. The 2 starting backcourts combined had 8 career starts. All 4 guards combined made less than $1 million this past year. The Mavericks started 3 players making less than $100,000 for the year. The top 4 Phoenix scorers did not play. The top 6 for Dallas were sitting. It was the 12th consecutive game that Devin Booker missed for the Suns. Now, Phoenix won the game, but still finished with the worst record in the league and tops the lottery parade with a 25% chance at the top pick. Dallas has a 14% chance as the 3rd worst, but beginning next year, the NBA is changing the lottery formula yet again.
It's a real dilemma, and when we change the draft lottery odds for next year, it's going to be the 5th time that we've changed the lottery odds since we start with the lottery, and it may be time to step back with some truly fresh thinking.
Commissioner Adam Silver in conversation with Stephen A. Smith yesterday. Stephen now joins me. It's a joy to have you here. How far will Adam go in acknowledging what everybody else is talking about? How far will he admit something's out there?
Well, he's already admitted something's out there. What I think where his senses will be heightened, for lack of a better phrase, is if it becomes a bit too obvious and you can't fight off the perceptions. That's something that he can't have. Remember that the Philadelphia 76ers with this famed process, trust the process. It was Adam Silver that ultimately intervened, that had something to do with Jerry Colangelo ultimately landing in Philly, because he had spoken to Sixers ownership from a couple of years back because it was so alarming how they were losing on purpose. It's one thing to be sacrificing games because you're trying to position yourself for a lottery pick, a high lottery pick. That's happened throughout NBA history. You can look as far back to the San Antonio Spurs when it came to a David Robinson or when it came to a Tim Duncan. Boston with Rick Pitino and how he was competing with the Spurs to get the #1 overall pick because Larry Bird and McHale and Parrish and those boys were not walking through that door. It's understandable when that happens, even though the commissioner wants to keep an eye on it. It's something entirely different when you're sacrificing seasons, which is what the Philadelphia 76ers did. And because it's working out so well for them, it's like a double-edged sword. The NBA loves what they're seeing from Philadelphia, but the process it took to get there, that is not something that the commissioner would ever endorse.
Very ugly. So as they look at this process going forward, they've already, 5 times in recent years changed the lottery procedures. That's a de facto admission. We're trying to grasp at fog almost.
Absolutely. But again, he told me yesterday, he's limited. The league office is limited to some degree in what it can do. You can come up with rules and regulations. When you diminish the chances percentage-wise of a team getting the #1 pick from 25 or 26% to 14%, you're clearly moving in the right direction, which is something that they want to do. But if teams still go about the business of trying to get a bad record and position themselves for the lottery, whether it's a first pick or a top 3 pick or whatever the case may be, you can only do but so much as a league. Ultimately, it comes down to the individual teams, its respective ownerships, the executives that are employed by them to have the integrity and the ethic and moral, and to be morally upstanding enough to do the right thing.
We all love Woj. We had a report earlier. I talked about the owner berating the coach. We'll accept it as true because he knows this league cold. Adam cannot be happy with the report. I mean, he may not be sacrificing a game, but if an owner came down on a coach, that's disturbing.
It's very, very disturbing, but very predictable because, again, if you look at the 76ers and what they've been able to accomplish, what is the #1 thing guys like to do? They like to imitate. They imitate and steal successful habits.
And there's a great temptation. I mean, the Sixers have written the template, right?
Absolutely. They've written a template, and that's something that's incredibly alarming to the commissioner and the league office, and it's something that they're going to continue to try to do something about. But ultimately what it comes down to, Bob, is all they can say is don't be so daggone obvious with it. If you're going to do it, have the decency.
How does that treat the paying customers, though? I've got 30 seconds.
No, you're robbing them. You're robbing them. Which is why you hear me vehemently speaking out against the whole process. Trust the process, because you have executives that are employed, coaches that are employed, what have you. The players have to go out there and compete. Bob, why shouldn't they have to? You trying to tell me the only way to build a team is through the draft? You can't go out there and recruit through free agency? Not just about creating cap space and going through the draft. You have to be about the business of ingratiating yourself with agents, with players, and what have you, so you can acquire them in free agency.
Be creative.
These guys are disincentivized to do that.
Be creative, as we are anytime we sit down and talk with Stephen A. We just listen. Thanks. Great conversation, Stephen. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.